Hi, glad you're here at my site today. I'm Jim Brown. If you've never seen me before, we've had pictures and done a lot of things on this website. Starting a new feature on the site that I'm going to try to post each week, a video that we put up on YouTube and have available right here on my website. Trying to be able to explain a little bit more about what I see as I travel throughout the state, the country, and the world, and how people relate to Louisiana. That's the purpose of my site, of a Louisiana perspective and how we are seen, not just here in Louisiana, but all over the country and all over the world. And if you've read my columns regularly, you know that I write about that perspective. I was in France and Spain here last month and had a chance to get their take on what's happening here in this state, the ties, the things they like, the things we like, and how it all relates to our future here in the state. Let me tell you something about why I think these videos are important and why this alternative media is important. The columns I write, as do so many other people in this state. We all know that newspapers and the media in general is in trouble financially. Not just newspapers, but also television. You know, the projections are, I'm hearing, and a lot of you know that I've got a daughter that is involved in the national media, that within 4 or 5 years, you're not going to have the nightly news on television at 5:30 like we do now Central Time. You're almost going to have to go to cable to see the evening news because viewership is dropping and there's so many other options out there. That's certainly the case with newspapers. We've seen reports that the Boston Globe may not be around here in another month or two. Rocky Mountain News is a favorite newspaper of mine. I've spent a lot of time in Colorado over the years. I love reading the Rocky Mountain News out of Denver. It is now kaput. It's no longer in operation. And a number of newspapers are going bankrupt. And there's a lot of discussion, oh, it's going to be terrible because there will be no way to get your news. There will not be the press watchdog over so much about what's happening in government. I disagree with that. I think small sites like this and those who are on the internet, who post columns on the internet, who have websites, are going to offer a good alternative. And I've seen that here in Louisiana. We have a lot of choices. You've got people like Jeff Carrere, Steve Sabadowski with Bayou Buzz, Greg Amon up in the Alexandria area, Pat Bergeron in Baton Rouge, Charlie Davis who has politicsla.com, Josh Delano over in the Lake Charles area. I could go on and on. Greta Perry over in St. Tammany. All who have their websites, they write columns. Many of them are on the radio, offering an alternative view, and sometimes it's a better view than what you get out of the newspaper. I'll give you one example. There is a bill passing through the Louisiana legislature now to give financial incentives to the New Orleans Saints. And the mainline press has played this up as a great reduction in the amount of money that we're giving to the Saints. Now, you got to remember that Louisiana is the only state in America that gives a subsidy to a professional football team. Yes, I keep hearing, but we're a smaller market down here, so if we're going to keep the football team, you've got to give some state subsidies. Well, the market out of New Orleans, the TV market and the population base, is more than in Buffalo, New York, and yet the Buffalo Bills seem to do very well without any state subsidy. Green Bay Packers is a very small market. They do very well. They get nothing from the state, yet we're giving a state subsidy. And I'm for the Saints, and maybe you've got to give them a little money, but I want to see it's not misleading. The column I wrote last week, which you'll find on this website, for example, talks about the fact that the mainline press is saying, well, the Saints are getting $6 million from the states. Tom Benson ain't no fool. He's a good negotiator. He's getting out of this new deal every bit as much as he got out of the old deal. And I analyzed it in terms of rental in downtown New Orleans, in terms of parking subsidies, in terms of upgrading the Superdome that really just benefits the Benson interest, the Saints interest. So if you get to the numbers, Saints are getting the same thing, just getting a longer contract. And Tom Benson has done very, very well in what he's been able to get out of Louisiana. There's no reduction at all. You don't get that out of the mainline press. You've got to come to websites like this. I was on Jeff Carrere's radio show over in St. Tammany a few days ago talking about it, and now we're seeing some more skepticism look into the whole issue. The whole area of transparency in government, some of the criticism about our Louisiana governor. Mainline press wasn't touching that issue. C.B. Ferguson and across Elliot Stonecipher up in Shreveport, a cross-section of other bloggers, those who have websites, raised the issues that now are being picked up in our newspapers and our TV. So my point is that I don't see a demise in newspapers. We may see some consolidation. You may have to go onto the website and maybe subscribe to the kind of news you want. You may be able to subscribe to sports and politics, or some certain elements that will come in through one service. It may be a lot different, but it was a lot different back when we had radio and TV came into play. So that's just the changing focus of where we are in this country. I think that you'll see a number of good newspapers like the New York Times and others survive, and we'll see some alternative media, some alternative newspapers, some alternative websites that will continue to give a good flow of the news in terms of what we have to offer. So just give you that commentary. I've got a column up this week about motorcycle helmets and about freedom of choice. Let me tell you, folks, nobody has been on a motorcycle more than me. I grew up in a motorcycle. I've had every kind of bike you could think of, from the Kawasaki 350 off-road bike to the great big BMW 1150 GS that you can take around the world. I know bikes. And I'll tell you this, there is a freedom of choice issue when it comes to riding motorcycles. It's my freedom as a taxpayer not to pay for your idiotic decision of riding a motorcycle without a bike, cracking your skull open, and I got to pay for you for the rest of your life because the insurance costs can be enormous. And that's the focus of this week's column that you'll find right here on Jim Brown LA. So take a look at it and see what you think as we move on forward. Well, thanks for watching. I'll try to do a little website each week and do a web link each week on video to let you know just what there is to talk about here on of interest to the state. And I hope you'll continue to watch me. And thanks for tuning in and being with me here today. And continue to look over our website. Talk to you again next week.